Zelos Podcast is sponsored by Kinetic IQ, where intelligence meets motion. Kinetic IQ brings a biomechanics lab into the palm of your hand, letting you measure movement anytime, anywhere, with just an iPad or an iPhone, and no wearables required. I've been using Kinetic IQ's markerless motion capture in my own practice, and whether you're screening athletes, analyzing posture and gait mechanics, optimizing performance, or guiding return to play, it helps practitioners like us save time, capture more objective data, and make instant actionable decisions. So to learn more about how Kinetic IQ is shaping the future of intelligent movement, visit them at kineticiq.com. That's KINETIKIQ.com. You know, I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have Metabolic Elite be one of the sponsors of the Zelos Podcast. You know what makes Metabolic Elite different is their commitment to real results. I've seen a lot of supplements and performance enhancement things over the years, but they pair clinical experience with innovation, like Lipitab, their proprietary solid-state liposomal delivery system. It's a chewable format which enhances absorption like nutrients like BPC 157 and synapses. They're delivered more efficiently in the body, supporting recovery, focus, cognitive health. Their formulas go beyond the basics, solving performance health challenges at the system level. Every product is tested for quality, it's backed by research, and trusted by athletes and clinicians alike. So learn more at metabolicelite.co. And you can get 10% off all of Metabolic Elite products by entering the coupon code ZELOS, ZELOS. You're tuned in to the Zelos Podcast. I'm your host, Rocky Snyder, and this week my guest is Nick Lewis. He is performance analyst and sports scientist for the Seattle Reign. That's right, National Women's Soccer League. Nick came into town and went against the Bay FC this past week, and we got to actually sit down in person and kind of just chew on a few ideas over dinner, and before that we recorded this conversation. But before we get underway, let's just say I've got a few courses of my own I'd love to share with you, online courses as well as some in person, but the online ACL Resiliency, that's coming up. It's going to be released this month, so go to my website, rockysnyder.com, for more information. While you're there, check out the Exploring Foot Wedges 3-hour online course. All the other ones are more like an hour or so, including open and closed chain foot mobilization. If you really want to unlock all 33 joints in the feet, this is the course that I would recommend. Plus, posture-based soft tissue mobilization. If you're foam rolling and you're just doing the search and destroy kind of methodology, it might be a better idea to get a little bit of, I would say a little bit of better strategy on how to realign the body through using foam rolling. And coming up this month, we've got the last Perform Better Functional Training Summit. That'll be in Providence, Rhode Island, August 20th to 22nd. And I will be there. I may not be presenting, but I sure will be learning a lot. And I hope to network with you if you sign up at performbetter.com. Let's get on to that conversation. Nick, I don't know what took me so damn long to have you on the podcast here. We've known each other now, 3-4 years. It was in Vegas at the national conference, I think, with the NSCA that we first met, and then just connected on your part. I think you were the one that put in the energy to make the connection. So thanks for doing that, because I've really enjoyed this friendship. And first of all, welcome to the Zelos Podcast.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. And I think we know why I couldn't for a while is because with the last job, I wasn't allowed to do anything like that. So rules, that's okay. Name of the game sometimes.
That's it. Those darn NDAs, I tell you, they get in the way. Well, we can talk about that, but how about this? Give the listening audience an understanding of, right now you're with the Seattle Reign, NWSL, as their chief sports scientist, science performance. What is the official title that you're holding with the Reign right now?
Official title is performance analyst. I think we'll be switching that over to officially sports scientist going forward. But that's what it's right now.
So give us a background of your career path, where you started, and how you got to be with Seattle.
Yeah. Well, originally started as a personal trainer in the gym 20 years ago. 20 years ago, basically, as of in like a month. So, uh,
Crazy to think of, isn't
yeah,
it?
I know exactly. Actually wanted nothing to do with fitness for a career. I was just doing it like because it was like a good college job, like where I actually made some decent money. Um, and enjoyed staying fit for college soccer. And then life throws a curveball, life happens. And so I was originally political science, actually, focusing on that side of the house. And then life changed, and I was like, all right, well, now what do I do? Had an amazing professor, Dr. Colleen Hacker. She kind of I would say she squared me away and like gave me kind of a little bit of purpose and direction to go. So I definitely owe a lot of where I am today and what I've been able to accomplish to having her as kind of a guiding light as a professor. Um, and then from there, it's just the intern grind. You jump from one internship to the other, and back when I was doing internships, most of them were unpaid. You just figure out how to get there and how to somehow survive and survive the grind. So hopped around to back in the day, Athletes Performance down in Pensacola, Florida. Did an internship there. That was really great. Learned a ton. Some really awesome folks there, and that was a whole mix of NFL. We had some NBA guys, some Major League Baseball. We had a whole host of people from special operations. That was like one of the main hubs back in the day for athletes' performance for their special operations kind of wing of the company. So awesome environment to learn. The people there were just so good at what they did. So that was awesome. Popped over there
Sweet.
to DC United. And was at DC United for a season. Came back home to Seattle for a little, and was doing an internship with Jordan Webb and Darcy Norman, and ended up then. Uh,
Darcy's a freaking legend.
he is.
Chicago Fire now, but
Yeah.
before what was where were you with Darcy?
So I was working remotely with him and Jordan as an intern doing data stuff, and we basically were building out the early days of what their athletes performance exos, their kind of analytics platform that they were selling to MLS teams, but they also used for the German national team for that 2014 World Cup.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, so I
You know,
was,
Darcy's daughter is an Olympian. She was in the Winter Olympics this past
I
year.
know,
It was
yeah,
snowboarder.
yeah,
Crazy,
yeah, I know they live in Tahoe, and he's kept them there and managed to foster that. So good on him. He's
right?
obviously sacrificed a lot going other places, but yeah. So Darcy's obviously a legend for sure. Um, yeah, and then that led into we were working with Portland Timbers on some stuff and ended up spending the next 5 years there in Portland with the Timbers. Things change, life change. The job is sometimes unforgiving. And yeah, did my master's, ended up at Inter Miami for a couple years. And
Before
then
Messi.
yes, before Messi, all in the lead up to that madness of Messi coming in. Yeah, and then ended up at Nike. I had been offered two roles. I'd been offered a job as basically kind of like the sports scientist, data analyst for First Group Special Forces, and then like a week and a half later, and I'd already signed and like accepted, and then a week and a half later, Nike gives me the offer, and I was like, so I felt like a real douchebag, but I had to take the Nike one, like the potential upside, I guess I kind of viewed as you know it just made more sense. And so I took that one, had a great few years there. And unfortunately, the business as a whole is going through some challenges. I mean, if you look at their stock price over the last couple of years, like that'll tell the story for you. Um, and just the world is changing, things are evolving, and companies have to change too. So as they kind of went through one of their latest reorgs, I got moved to a different role, and it just wasn't quite the best role for me. So I decided to come back to sports. And I'm from Seattle. My family's here. My mom and my dad both still live here. Dad's going through some health stuff. So um, the fact that the opportunity was here, and my good friend Tom that I worked with down at Miami, he is also here at the team. Between kind of
Nice.
everything, I was like, all right, this seems like a good opportunity. I know it's going to be a big change and shift because I got this like really comfortable lifestyle over at Nike that was, what everyone is trying to get to. And now I got to go back to the grind a bit, but it seemed like a really good fit for just everything as a whole. And so I decided to come on back, and it's a new challenge too, because things are definitely different on this side of the house compared to being on MLS. So it's challenging me in new ways for sure. So I have to adapt and grow and get better. So yeah, and that's kind of what my background has been.
Fantastic. I gotta say, yeah, visiting you up at Nike HQ was such a treat. The times that I was able to get up there,
Yeah.
and I just felt like a kid in the candy store. And I'm
Yeah.
sure you probably had that feeling many days where it just, we can't go deep into what they have up there
Yeah.
because of the agreements that have been signed and so
Yeah.
on. But
Yeah.
man, I
Yeah.
just, oh, if I could spend a week just following you guys around and just looking over shoulders. Wow,
Yeah.
what a great experience. So,
There's so many smart people there, and like they're so
oh,
capable in so many different ways. And that was, I think, also one of the big reasons of why I wanted to go. Like the people on my team, I mean, diverse backgrounds, but super capable. Um, so my director at the end, Lauren McWiggins, she was believe she was the first female sports scientist in the NBA, and super knowledgeable and experienced, just like level-headed and really thinks through things so well. Um, and she is on top of her stuff. So she challenged me. Brett Kirby on the team. I think he's published like 70 something papers. Uh, so, so like you got to step up and be on top of your science, otherwise you're gonna look dumb real fast. And then Brad on the team came from a lot of track and field coaching, and has kind of like an applied background, I believe, in like mechanical engineering. So when you bring like that to the table of like us having to like solve problems and whatnot, and our our head of the department, Ian, um, used to be an exercise physiology professor actually, but he's been at Nike for I think 20 plus years almost. He's been around and seen so many things, and everyone in the industry seems to know him in some capacity, but he has no social media. There's no LinkedIn, there's no nothing. It's like he doesn't exist. But somehow quietly everyone seems to know a little bit of who he is. So yeah.
it's like it's honestly it's it feels like NASA, but for
Yeah.
sports and
Yeah.
athleticism. There, it really does.
I wish I had it to help out my athletes here, but yeah, that we don't have $150 million to spend on a lab. So yeah.
Well, how about this? Your career is combined coaching, sports science, analytics.
Yep.
Just what's your perspective on? Do you think we're getting better at developing athletes, or are we simply getting better at measuring them?
Um, I would say we're getting much better at measuring them. We are slowly getting better at developing them, not at the same pace that we are at measuring. Because we're measuring things really well, but there's still so many unanswered questions. So either our measurement is useless or we're not measuring the right things. Or maybe we can't measure all the right things. I don't know. time will tell. But I think I think we're starting to get to a point where people are the measurement side has kind of hit a little bit maybe of a short-term cap, let's say. It's getting kind of hard to push it further than what it is at this second. And now other people are starting to focus on the mind-body connection and everything else kind of again. So one side of the scale pushed really far and it's kind of hit its block and nothing is really progressing too quick on that side. And then the other things are going to catch up is kind of how I see it. But I think that there's still a long ways to go on developing athletes. And especially on the women's side, in particular, at young ages, they don't get exposed to anywhere near as much elite training. Um, the way that we encourage young girls to play versus how we encourage young boys to play very different, and how that also clearly comes and impacts physical development characteristics and all those types of things. So I think there's still a long ways to go on athlete development, and especially in
Yeah.
the women's space, because I'm of the opinion that we need to get to them even earlier than you do boys. And it's not rocket science, like they physically mature sooner than boys do. However, who's who's got a program that's trying to get after that younger group of girls and trying to start to train some of those movement skills and some of those patterns at that younger age? Like nobody, not that I'm really
Right.
aware of. Um, but
Not across the board, not like from a national campaign perspective. You're right.
no, yeah,
Absolutely right. I
yeah,
mean, I do know that the NSCA and the organization SHAPE, which is in charge of physical education in the public school system across the nation, are
yeah,
starting to gather together, and they're
yeah,
starting to kind of collaborate on curriculum in physical education that breaks away from the competition and sports centric kind of format that they've had for the last century, which it just pigeonholes people. But here's in terms of athletic development, and I know you've seen this, dude. I know you've seen this kind of comparison video on YouTube between Jesse Owens and Usain Bolt, and
yeah,
looking at the how if we took Jesse Owens off the cinder track, gave him the same equipment as Usain Bolt, comparing it using whether it's AI or whatever that program they used, how close or how far apart would they have finished 100 meters? And it was pretty darn close. So
yeah,
you figure that's almost 100 years, 1936 Berlin Olympics, and Usain Bolt was like 10, 15 years ago. Say 80 years difference in between those Olympics. There hasn't been a great change, at least for that distance.
yeah. Yeah, that's true. I mean, there is somewhat a physiological cap. I don't know where is that cap. I don't know. I can't say. Maybe it's way faster than what it is. I don't know.
Don't
But
know.
yeah,
But then you got Sebastian Sawe and the other guy whose name I will never remember that also finished
yeah,
sub 2 hour marathon. But then I find out, well, they've got some insoles that were giving them more efficiency in terms of absorption and spring.
yeah. So that would probably Elliot Kipchoge, and the
Thank
people.
you.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that do go into that. The tech behind shoes is changing for, say, running. The tech behind football boots is changing significantly.
Tell me
Um,
about that. I'm more curious because that's your wheelhouse right now with the rain.
yeah, I obviously I can only say so much just to be careful of anything considering what I had access to
Yeah.
previously at Nike. But you'd be amazed at just how over engineered and how many PhDs were working on, a football boot, and sometimes 7, 8, even 10 years out from that product going to market. Like that's how long the development pipeline can be. Um, For example, uh, most recently, with the World Cup, one of the vapors that came out has basically a pod on it, and that little boost pod is there to help improve energy return there on the pitch. So a little bit of that idea of kind of what's like on the super shoes for running. How can you start to work that into the football cleats and like the boots and actually make a difference on pitch for those athletes also?
Hmm.
Uh, Obviously, that can be difficult because, it might work on really great hard pitch, but maybe it doesn't give you as much on a softer pitch because obviously just the ground's going to give way. There's all sorts of complexities to it, but where that is going and the questions that people are asking and trying to figure out the influence and interaction between the human and the actual cleat itself. Um, I guess I'd just say that, there's some insanely intelligent and really capable people from all walks of life that are trying to answer that question and develop that. Not just at Nike, people at Adidas are trying to do the same thing. Puma, all the companies are all competing in that space in some capacity. So there's still quite a bit of evolution to come there that can help break records, break times, make potentially people on the pitch, faster and more like track and field athletes, so to speak, in terms of that, straight line speed. Um, but also, they will probably never be the same as that, you know, track and field athlete. They might get close, but they're not asked to do the same things every day, right? They train
Yeah.
very differently, and they specialize for a reason because also Usain Bolt's probably not making some single-handed catches that some of the guys in the NFL are doing in some of those other aspects. He's probably not taking hits the same way either. And
Good
so,
point.
right, all of that just changes those characteristics. So, but I think there's still a long ways to go. There's still a huge potential, and there are people really trying to figure out how to break down those barriers, and figure out what is possible, um, from just the human physiology standpoint and from boots and shoes and all of those things, how those can help people surpass that. Yeah.
Okay, kind of a side question here. We just had the World Cup. You're in Seattle,
Yep.
and I'm imagining you got to a match or two. Were you able to get to one?
I
Of
did.
course you did.
Yes, yes, I got to
Okay,
take.
make me jealous. Make me
Yeah.
jealous. Which ones?
I only got to go to one, so I went to Belgium, Egypt. My dad's a big Liverpool fan, so we got to go see Mo Salah, which was really cool for him. I got no problem saying he's going through dementia, so that it was an important thing to go do. Also, like there was no
Right
way
on.
that opportunity, pass us by. So we got to go to a game. I got to do that, check it off the list. Been there, done that. And I was trying to go with my mom to another game, and it didn't really quite work out with work. So she ended up going with a friend, but those tickets were even better than the ones that I had with my dad because it was like 20 rows up off the pitch,
Oh,
almost half field. So
and
yeah,
which match
that
did
was
she go to?
Belgium, Senegal. So that was like one of the knockout rounds, and
Oh,
that was a really good match. So yeah,
yeah. And then Belgium went on and played the U.S. after that one, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Uh,
Dang.
Definitely.
Okay, back into it. Sorry, just I had to ask
Oh,
because
good.
we
Yeah,
haven't caught up since World Cup, and that's really cool. I knew you would be. Damn it. All
yeah,
right. Okay. So, how do you decide which data actually changes your coaching decisions and which data simply
yeah,
satisfies your curiosity? Because I know you're a very curious guy and you can dive deep into the weeds, but how do you sort through it and be like, okay, this is the stuff we need? And you don't have to tell me exactly what it is,
yeah,
obviously, but and then you're like, oh, this is kind of cool. It's not going to serve any purpose, but this is really kind of cool stuff. I'm going
yeah,
to follow this a little bit.
yeah. Well, I won't lie, I need other people to rein me in, for sure, because I will go down those rabbit holes and never come back. So I definitely have to rely on those around me sometimes to keep me in check. And the other thing, the coaches that you work with, what they're looking for, or where their knowledge base or experience is with data, and their own varying opinions, I think maybe dictates what do you put on a report, or what do you try to use as your levers to kind of make decisions. And the other part too is what what you do in what I do in this team and what this team does in their training and how they go about things is different than how we went about things in Miami. It's different about how we win at things at the Timbers, and DC United and all of those things. So what you see, or maybe what was the right thing to choose for any one of those other teams, is maybe not the right thing to choose for this team. Um, so it's trying to figure out what are things that the coaches respond to, maybe this group of athletes actually respond to, and can grasp, and you can create buy-in, in order to move certain levers. And then what is also potentially unique about your group and your organization. Some teams are really going to pound high speed running, and that's because they do a lot more counterattacks, and they are really focused on, we're going to sit back, we're going to take pressure, and then we're going to counter with our speed and players that we have. And that's how we're going to win games. Where other teams, think about Spain for World Cup final. Like, we're just going to outpossess you. We're just going to pass the ball incessantly, and we're going to make you run as much as possible. That's their game plan, their style. So the same metrics will, high speed running would still be relevant to both sides of the house, but maybe on that more possession dominant side, I need to pull out different things, or we have to be maybe on that group, they're not getting as much high speed exposure. And so then maybe high speed is actually way more important to pay attention to on this side, because I need them to get those exposures. So I would say that that's probably the biggest thing is coaches, what can my performance staff feel like they can influence? What can people feel comfortable with understanding? And that's the basis to start. Once you've got that starting point, then you can start, dribbling and leaking things in, and trying to move it a certain direction once you have a better grasp and understanding. Um, and then when it comes to the rabbit holes, yeah, I'm always chasing something, because there's just always more to learn, and there's just always a better way to do it. And I don't think anyone's there yet to have figured out the best way to do it. So I'm just going to keep on pursuing, like trying to find more and more and more and more. Like, there's got to be a better way than this. How do I find it? What layers do I need to peel back? And that's just a never-ending game, so to speak. But yeah, the short answer is I need others to rein me in and give me some guidance, but I will try to make it too complex. And so there's the yin and yang kind of side of things, and how it works in our.
Sure. Sure, I get that. Okay, so this brings up so many questions in my mind. I'm going to try and take one at a time. Let's
Yeah.
just take GPS,
Yeah.
and I'm curious: do you have, whether it's match footage or practice footage, video footage that is side by side with your GPS analytics in kind of in real time, so that you understand situationally what you're seeing on the GPS screen based on what the players are doing on the pitch?
I would really love to get it to that point. It's not there yet. I think as the industry as a whole, there are a few people that are starting to push for it, which is like qualitative and quantitative metrics in that, like, basically what is happening on pitch in terms of the technical and tactical side, and then what is happening at that same moment with the physical side
Exactly.
that we see from the GPS, and like how do we put those things together. Um, that's a bit of kind of the mecca at this point. There are, as far as I'm aware of, a couple of organizations out there in the globe that are putting that together and are kind of figuring that out. I'm going to say that that's probably all sitting behind the scenes and proprietary, and they're not publishing papers on those ones.
Mm,
But maybe eventually, once it's, becoming so readily available. But say WSL in Europe right now, they now have a deal with sorry, not the company.
one of the
Don't
GPS companies.
Yeah, it's one of the GPS companies, but basically it's LPS, but they have a chip in the ball. So they're also tracking
Oh,
metrics plus the player physical metrics, and it's all being pulled into the same platform and system. So those people are getting opportunities to have that kind of like relationship between what's occurring from technical tactical, maybe kind of the motor learning,
yeah.
uh, in that greater sense than the physical. Then you still have to put in, probably your markerless motion capture in there of like, all right, well, what does that look like in terms of like movements and body positions, kind of like three pillars, so to speak, maybe of finding mechas in that in that data. But I am not, or I don't know that anyone in the US is maybe quite there yet, as far as I'm aware of from any experience or people that I've talked to or whatnot. There's just like a couple teams in Europe that have paid
Mm.
to have, those kinds of things be
Because that would
integrated.
tell I won't say the full story, but it would fill in so many gaps if
Yeah,
you're only exclusively looking at the data or
yeah,
you're only looking at video of play. Uh,
yeah,
Combine them to go both together makes sense. Okay, how about this? Small sided
yep,
versus full pitch.
yep.
What are the biggest things in regards to data that you're looking for? Or let's just, rather than put you on the spot with Seattle Rain, if you were teaching me as a fledgling sports scientist, what might you recommend I look at with small sided matches or practice compared to the actual match day or full pitch?
Yeah. It's actually a difficult question that a lot of people are trying to find the
Well,
right.
that's why I'm asking you, dude.
Yeah.
You're brainiac, man.
And
You put me in
so,
the dust.
yeah. So one of the better ways to go about it is with the raw data. The it's not going to be summary metrics of someone ran, 1,000 meters or something. Those summary metrics are definitely going to be missing a lot of things that occur in the small-sided games themselves. And that can be dictated by the space and the size. And what happens is, so something that maybe you would pay attention to that everyone knows it kind of inherently makes sense because it's occurring all the time in these small-sided games or small drills is like accelerations and decelerations, right? They're spending a lot of work and effort at those aspects, and there's a great mechanical load. However, you're not seeing it really occur in your data because the way the GPS systems and things are set up is intentionally to try to, all right, I count the number of times they got above a certain threshold. Well, the problem is because I'm moving back and forth so many times and I'm doing it in such a short period of time and I only have so much distance, I don't cover enough distance to get that peak to go high enough for it to register as like a new event. So it doesn't count.
Mm.
same way.
So you can't really see the level of efficiency because this goes back to the previous topic about fatigue and trying to out fatigue, having the opponents fatigue sooner than your players, right? So, I mean, if we could look at metrics in such a way with small sided, can we see there's an efficiency of movement? Do
Yeah.
you know where I'm
So
going?
yeah, so the the raw data is where the answer is going to be, because what you're looking for is like how Jace Delaney is the one who kind of originally pushed this forward, but kind of the game speed metric, as it's called, which is the basically the average change in like basically acceleration that you would see from the raw data. So when you're changing those velocities a lot, you obviously are doing a lot of work. You may not be getting to those high thresholds, but you're constantly changing. And so that average change in velocity and what that's going to look like in raw data versus what happens in a match, they are very different. But also, depending on how long the drill is, if you go through his work, you can find kind of a bit of a balance of where if I let this small sided game play out for 7 minutes, it gets much closer to the speed that would happen in a match. Versus if I only let it go for 4 minutes, I might be maybe above or maybe I'm below. I don't know, just depending on whatever the drill is and how things play out. So when it comes to looking at small sided games, raw data is like the big go-to to be 100% like accurate, like that you're clearly defining that something is going to be more difficult than the other. um, if you're lucky enough to have athletes that are wearing heart rate, because that is a mixed bag depending on which team you're on. And also some athletes are just going to throw it in your face and like, I'm not wearing that. And I get it. So that can help also too with understanding like that internal load, that internal response to that work. Um, and then the if you use kind of a power law, which how much work are they doing per actual unit of time that they're moving in the drill. So when you have really, really small spaces, sometimes they don't move all that much, right? And there's a lot of times standing. So if you can narrow it down to the time that they were actually moving and doing something, and you are then looking at intensity of actions in that period of time, then you end up with a much more power law shape of that, where those small sided ones will be way up on the spectrum, and then they're like high intensity actions per second of movement, so to speak. And then as you open up into bigger games, you'll see it
Dropping off.
yeah, you'll see it basically curve off and the kind of, in theory, go to infinity, so to speak. Um, so that's one of the better ways that, I've learned to look at it now, and be able to discern difference in qualities. But it's also a space with some new technology coming out that we might really have to rethink how we're looking at small-sided games, and how that compares to match also, because there's some evidence that certain games are potentially actually causing short-term and temporary occlusion in the muscle. So
Oh,
depending on, what you're actually what that drill actually is, some of that stimulus that you're getting is actually from some level of occlusion. And that in and of itself might very much change what the properties and qualities are of that, in particular. So, yeah, so when it comes to that's like SMO2 monitoring, there's some really interesting things in research coming out with SMO2, and it's showing that in certain intensity of exercises, They're just starting to leak it into football now, global football. But the fact that they found stuff in other exercises and other activities and stuff that I have seen and been a part of in my past, there is evidence that there is occlusion occurring. So that adaptation in certain drills may be very different than what we think it is.
We're just going to take a quick pause from this conversation to acknowledge our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. The Zelos Podcast is sponsored by Kinetic IQ, where intelligence meets motion. Kinetic IQ brings a biomechanics lab into the palm of your hand, letting you measure movement anytime, anywhere with just an iPad or iPhone. No wearables required. I've been using Kinetic IQ in my own practice, and whether you're screening athletes, optimizing performance, or guiding return to play, it helps practitioners like us save time, capture more objective data, and make instant actionable decisions. So to learn more about how Kinetic IQ is shaping the future of intelligent movement, visit kinetikiq.com. That's KINETIKIQ.com. At the forefront of metabolic elite is Jim Lavelle, internationally recognized clinical pharmacist, a chief science officer at Lifetime, and the co-chair for the American Academy of Anti-Aging Medicine. He's got over 4 decades of experience and has guided Olympic athletes, professional teams, and leading health institutions. You know what makes Metabolic Elite different is their commitment to real results. Like Lipitab, their proprietary solid-state liposomal delivery system. It's a chewable format which enhances absorption like nutrients like BPC 157 and synapses. They're delivered more efficiently in the body, supporting recovery, focus, cognitive health. Their formulas go beyond the basics, solving performance health challenges at the system level. Every product is tested for quality, it's backed by research, it's trusted by athletes and clinicians alike. And you can get 10% off all of Metabolic Elite products by entering the coupon code ZELOS, ZELOS.
So, okay, SMO2, that's skeletal muscle saturation, like oxygen saturation, right?
Yep.
SMO2.
Yep.
And but I'm boggled by why occlusion would be occurring.
So,
Have they found like a mechanism for that?
if I can remember correctly, so part of it, obviously, as there's like the swelling and the increase in the size
So
of the,
stress levels.
right? Yeah. So the intensity of the action, the number of repeated efforts of it. I think there's a paper out there that was looking at this with basically knee extension exercise, basically with like resistance training. And they were finding that once you got past a certain number of reps, I can't remember what the protocol was, but they were actually seeing what was occlusion in the muscle itself in terms of that oxygen supply. So there is a certain point where the effort and intensity and the duration of time of those things together could possibly um, be causing occlusion and some of that fatigue and things that players are experiencing. And this is probably going to be really small, 3v3, 2v2 kind of exercises that are the most taxing, um, have an occlusion element to them.
I can
So,
see how that could very well indicate compensatory patterns, right?
yeah,
Where there's going to be an overload, and maybe that could be a good kind of marker for a medical side. Well, that's interesting. That's really cool. I kind of like that.
yeah. So, but to
You know,
get back to the,
obviously,
taking it back to the, the large sided games, it's never the same and it's never going to be, which is why like you always still have to have some version of 11s in your training, if you can. Um, but then there's a few people out there that talk about it really well, and it's a hard thing to grasp on the ground and do well. But a lot of times, what we're doing is load management and not really periodization. And if you get good at understanding the periodization and like being able to grasp all that complexity, I've seen it before, where people are like, hey, our big loading day, maybe they're not doing full 11s, or they're doing, a very short kind of tactical version of it, but their big loading is going to be 7 aside, and they're going to staircase that for a couple weeks, and they're going to spend controlled windows where, hey, our loading day, our day to actually adapt, so to speak, and get better, um, is going to move within kind of like a certain idea, in a much more kind of controlled paradigm, which is a little bit more like Verheinen, and kind of using Verheinen's concepts in his idea of blocks and windows, but people still being really clever about using it inside of, something like periodization, or some of the other periodization models out there. So that is it's a difficult place to grasp, but you always want to have some level of your 11's exposure. Your small sided game is never going to quite be the same. You use the data to try to figure out how close can you get that to the same intensity and like work rate. And then how can you just, if you're in the right environment, can I progress that over the next couple weeks and get that proper exposure, and development for those athletes, and then move on to the next aspect of whatever we have in the plan, in that periodized plan for those athletes and for that team. But yeah, I mean, that whole topic is so difficult, and no one really has like a great answer. Uh, they have
Where do you see it being in 5 years? You think the answer will come, whether it's with the help of AI or any other technology?
I think we will get much closer. Again, perfect is always difficult. I think with technologies like the ball tracking stuff coming out, I think with some of the other kind of internal monitoring that we're becoming more capable of, all of those types of things starting to come to the table and now influencing decision making. As all of those things get there, and we also move towards more of a kind of a mechanical and physiological driven GPS that's not just, hey, did they run 500 meters? I can have someone, run 500 meters of high speed running, but the way that I can just blast them with 500 meters, or I can have them spread out 500 meters over 45 minutes, those are two very different adaptations. And so as we get better and people are moving towards more mechanical driven load monitoring, towards more physiological characteristics, as a whole, I think we will get much better at it. Um, the biggest barrier will be, because it's difficult to also explain and grasp, is how do you get coaches to also buy into that,
Mm.
get the players to buy, and that's always the most difficult, always one of the most difficult things, and that's okay. That's part of the challenge and part of the environment. And sometimes you also have to realize that you might be right from the physiological perspective, but from the technical, tactical of what those players need to actually get better for what the problem is, or where they're maybe lacking on field, technically that should take precedent and should probably be the most important thing. And so then you're trying to figure out, all right, how can I let that be first and still try to find some middle ground, and also, keep your dignity and your sanity of not blowing up and thinking that everything is the end of the world. We have a
Well, if you
tendency.
figure that out, you can write a book and retire.
We
Damn,
have a
man.
tendency to do that in the strength and conditioning world and environment. We're trying to get these specific physiological things in training or make suggestions towards that. And when it doesn't happen, the sky is falling, so to speak. But it's not. Many times it's not. So sometimes we gotta, swallow our own ego a little bit.
I hear you. Okay, how about this? We're coming near the end of this conversation, unfortunately, because I know we could keep on going, but
Yeah.
I can't take all your time. I've got some rapid fire questions. You game for a little just in your face kind of thing?
Okay.
All right.
The more
Okay.
rapid I can come up with the answer.
All right. Let's see. Data or intuition? Yeah, this is called rapid fire, Nick.
Nothing rapid about this answer. I'm going to say intuition.
Wow. Oh, man. I'm
It
glad we're
depends on
not
the
in Vegas right
context, too.
now. Dang. Okay.
It depends
GPS or
on,
force plates? What was that?
it depends on the context.
Yeah, I know. I got you. But I like your answer no matter
Yeah.
what, man.
Yeah.
GPS or force plates?
GPS.
Strength or movement quality?
Quality.
How about the most underrated athletic quality?
And no rapid answer to that one.
Mm.
The most underrated. I don't know, because everyone always just wants to emphasize whatever is strong, so to speak. So, Um,
Okay, we stumped you on that one. We're going to move on. How about this?
biggest thing is
What?
between the ears, though. I mean, that's quite literally
Yes.
like, I guess maybe in an American sport model, like what's between here is maybe
Mental performance.
somewhat, yeah, the most underrated thing
Yeah.
because you have to be the best athlete in the world. But if you are more clever and more skillful and maybe like see again the greater picture better, so to speak, like you can still be the best in the world. So,
Right on. Okay, one metric you never ignore.
well, I guess it'd probably be the subjective reporting of a person. So
Okay,
it
cool.
it tells you a lot, and everyone knows that it's pretty accurate. So they're
Nice.
obviously giving you good feedback.
How about one metric coaches overvalue?
Distance.
Recovery or preparation? Which one?
Say the prep.
Okay. How about one habit every young sports scientist should develop?
One habit. A habit. Oof. Can I write you an essay?
We're going to call these slow burn questions rather than rapid fire.
You go back and edit that one. Add the. You can dub yourself. Slow burn. Yeah, I
Like,
guess.
it would be wake up early, disconnect. Like,
Yeah, I guess the one habit should probably just be double check your work all the time, no matter what.
beautiful.
Ever.
Okay, what's harder to build, speed or resilience?
I think resilience.
And the last question, one word that defines elite performance.
One word that defines elite. They're like really philosophical questions.
I'm sorry, man. I know you were deep. I just thought I'd throw you these.
uh, all those philosophy classes, my political philosophy minor doesn't help. Uh, Man, what defines elite performance? Well, I guess I would just have to say, bro, one word though. It's not one word. How do I do it in one word? I guess I'll have to put it with grit then.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. That's a good way out.
Yeah.
Oh man, I know I put you on the spot. So, but you're a
Yeah.
champ. You're a total athlete in that,
Yeah.
and fantastic.
Yeah.
I cannot wait to see you next weekend. I am so stoked that you're coming to the Bay
I
Area.
yeah. Hopefully I will make it. There's kind of been some changes on the plans.
Yeah.
Hopefully I should still be there. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited to try to get the rest of the. I can never explain it as good as you or have the same effect. When I'm making decisions around how I would manipulate movement. But I'm still a young Padawan, so to speak. So yeah.
You give yourself too hard a time. You're pretty fantastic at that. But if I don't see you, well, I just look forward to the next time our paths cross, as always. The next time we sit down and
Absolutely.
chat.
Yeah, I mean, hey, if nothing, I might just come down and spend a couple of days with you to help fix me and learn some more in the off season because God knows I need it. So,
Well, one way or the other, it's going to happen, man. And I
yeah,
can't honestly thank you enough.
yeah,
I say the same thing to all my guests at the end of the podcast, but I am just so grateful. I really am that you take some time out of your busy schedule where we can sit down and have a conversation and you can teach me because that's all we've been doing right now is I've been asking questions and you've been giving me great information. So thanks.
yeah. Giving you answers without giving you answers sometimes. Just the obfuscation of everything in sports science. I'm learning as we all get better at it, and the more you know, it's like the less you want to answer the direct question, just because like it depends on so many things. Yeah.
Okay, we're going to end it with that
Okay.
statement right there.
Perfect.
Man, I tell you, conversations with Nick can get my head spinning something fierce. I hope yours is settled a little bit better than mine is, but I'm going to have to replay that conversation back just to absorb everything he was sharing. Remember, we've got the Perform Better Training Summit happening August 20th to 22nd in Providence, Rhode Island. It's the last one. Sign up at performbetter.com. Go to my website, rockysnyder.com, and check out my online courses. All of them are roughly an hour, except for one. We've got the ACL Resiliency course launching this month. We've got the 3-hour Exploring Foot Wedges course. Also, if you're into feet like I am, you've got open and closed chain foot mobilization, hour-long course to teach you how to get that all done. And then in terms of soft tissue mobilization, posture-based might be a way to go with another course. Well, that's it for me. Enjoy your week. We're going to hear from our sponsors just one more time. Thanks for listening. Remember to check out metabolicelite.co. Check out all the products they have on their website. Synapsin Pro is something I've been using to help stay focused without having to over-caffeinate myself. It keeps me in the zone so I can just really hone in on the things I need to achieve without feeling like, man, I got to reach for an energy drink every 5 minutes. Metabolicelite.co. And don't forget, Kinetic IQ. They've got markerless motion capture for morons like me. I can use their product with my iPhone or my iPad. I can look at posture analysis, movement analysis of any exercise, gait analysis. It gives me everything I could possibly want when tracking people's movements. So, check out kineticiq.com.